Hello, Darren.
Hello, Darren.
We are on day 5.
Yes. The fifth day of Christmas. Oh, gold rings day, isn't it?
5 gold rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves. I can do it. I can do it when I go back from 5. I couldn't do 2 when I was just adding it on, but I can do it when I... Okay. This is going to get us a few hits, I reckon, on the old YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Let's duke it out. What was the best home computer circa, I've got the year here somewhere, 1982, what did we say?
82, let's say between 82 and 85.
Well, I've got some stats here. So you are going to argue the case for the ZX Spectrum, which was launched in April 1982.
Yep.
And I am going to argue the case for the Commodore 64, launched January 1982. Right. Commodore 64 being American, the ZX Spectrum being just another shitty thing from this shitty little island.
British.
You can kick off if you like. Why should a parent have brought their child a ZX Spectrum in 1982?
I believe it was cheaper. That's a good thing for the parents. More affordable, I should say. Educational, Darren. Educational. Came with software that helped you learn things. Mine came with copy of Electronic Scrabble. It had a wide and varied catalogue. It was created by a British design genius.
You know what I'm laughing at? I'm laughing at the fact that you, like me, have started this, and I've sort of realised I haven't really got a dog in this fight.
I know.
I just sort of started thinking, yes, sure, you win then.
I tell you what, though, why was it better ultimately? Why was it better than the Commodore 64? Just look at it. It's cool. It's black. It's black with a rainbow logo across the side. I mean, it's this fucking LGBTQ before we even had that phrase. If this was made now, Qatar would ban it. Get out. Look at it.
Dude.
Rubbish.
Dude, there's a rainbow.
No, I'm not having that. No,
there's a rainbow.
I'm not having that. I'm not having it.
What do you mean you're not having it? You're like, what you mean your retina isn't attached to your frontal lobe? It's there.
Because I'm sticking with my argument and I don't care. This is how we argue in the 21st century.
This is how Spectrum owners argue.
That rainbow logo on the Commodore, it's fake logo. That fake logo. You've painted it on. Okay, I'll give you that. But it wasn't beige. Spectrum wasn't beige.
There is sort of.
I think that says a lot.
There is something about the Commodore 64 design, the beigeness and the brown and the proper typewriter keyboard, which is definitely an attempt to be more proper, isn't there? You know, you're sort of. I think the parent is supposed to think, well, this could be in an office or something. This looks legit.
Yeah.
Whereas Clive Sinclair was, constantly, well, why does a typewriter have to have typewriter keyboards? Why can't it have a row of plastic erasers? These games. Do you remember? Did you have track and field?
Yeah.
And you'd have to smack the rubber keys to make the things run. And we would be surprised, when the Spectrum would crash. Or something like that. Because the thing is, I had experience of both, to be honest. I had a Commodore 64, but friends had the Spectrum, and we would have all these arguments in the playground. But truth be told, if I went around someone's house, I'd happily play on there.
Yeah, and they had generally had the same catalogue of games.
I think after a while, any sort of software company just developed their game for both formats, didn't they? And some, I think some games we would begrudgingly admit were better on one than the other.
Yeah,
and some better on the other.
Yeah,
look at that. It's already it's already the Good Friday Agreement. It's peace in our time. We're already fine and we're agreeing.
I think what's generally recognised is the Commodore had more colours.
I'm not sure if I would have been able to explain this at the time, and I don't know if I've got the vocabulary at the time now to explain it. But the Spectrum could do all the colours, but it could only do 2 colours inside a sprite. And that sort of caused problems on the Spectrum.
You got colour clashes.
And things couldn't overlay, whereas the Commodore 64 absolutely could. And so there was something, and I even sort of remember, like, when you had screenshots, they would actually always use the Commodore 64 screenshot. I remember that. You used to turn the game round on the back and it would say, screenshot is from a Commodore 64, because they couldn't show you the shitty Spectrum one.
It's true, yeah. Weirdly, though, I think the Spectrum kind of had the graphics, I always felt, were a little bit more crisp on the Spectrum, especially when they weren't having the colour clash issues.
I think probably what it was is that some people designed a game first for the Spectrum, so they had that in mind. But I think when the translation went the other way, so a game that had been written for the Commodore 64 was then made for the Spectrum, I think that's when it would fall down. That's when it wouldn't be so good.
There is I mentioned hackers in one of the earlier videos, and there are a few tales in that about companies having real nightmares moving games between systems.
Yeah,
I think the case was probably true with the Spectrum and Commodore as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think largely it was just those two, wasn't it? I mean, I think others tried to get. Let's have a little look in this book I've got here at what else.
Well, the BBC had some games.
The BBC was better, wasn't it? The BBC was the better computer, more powerful than both of these two, but also it was really.
Was it?
It was the rich kid's computer, wasn't it? It was the kid.
Was it more powerful though?
Okay, I'm going to give you some stats. Okay.
All right.
I've got the book here. I'm going to give you some stats on all 3 of these, right? The BBC Micro Model AB, the Model A had 16K, the Model B had 32K.
Well, Spectrum had 48.
It did, didn't it? But it came in 2 types, didn't it? God, I can't remember. What is all this useless shit doing in my head? There was a 16K version and there was a 48K, wasn't there?
Was there?
Yeah, when it first came out as a 16K, and I think it stopped.
Is that not the ZX81?
Dude, I've got the book here. I'm reading it.
Oh, have you? You're reading that? Okay.
I'm reading it out of a book, like an actual book.
That's all right. I didn't realise it had. There were 2 Spectrums.
There were 2 Spectrums, but I mean, I think pretty soon, the 16K one was phased out and I think everyone had to buy a RAM
Right.
pack because most of the games were all written for the 48 one.
48. Right.
And the Commodore 64, clues in the title, of course.
64.
64K, an absolute behemoth.
Well, don't forget there was another iteration of the Spectrum.
Oh yes. Let me see if that's in here. Because they did it. Was it like something like 128 even or something?
Yep.
Wasn't it?
Spectrum 128.
And they tried to. They still couldn't bring themselves to do a proper keyboard, though, could they?
No, it was more like a proper plastic keyboard.
It
like
was more
the Commodore,
like
but it was still a bit weird. It was still a bit weird.
It was almost like.
Although interestingly, we say that it was much closer to what a laptop keyboard is now.
Yes, but what was it with Clive Sinclair that meant he just would refuse to do like a normal keyboard?
I'm wondering if a lot of it was down to cost. I'm not sure. It's strange, wasn't it?
Just looking through this book to see if I can find. Here it is. Oh no! What's this then? The Sinclair QL.
Yes.
Is that it?
God.
No, I think the QL is. I think the Q. It looks like. I think. I'm wondering if that was it, and the QL was actually kind of a backwards compatible Spectrum. I seem to remember.
It was called. I found it. It was a ZX Spectrum Plus.
Ah.
It was still a 48K Spectrum, but it was in a new case.
Oh, so they just basically admitted that it was perhaps a better option. This is
Wiki tells us it was aimed at more high-end users like executives and stuff.
This is what I remember about the Spectrum, though. You just had to have all this stuff plugged in it, right?
Was that a printer, thermal printer?
State of that.
Or a disk drive, yeah. You could get a drum machine for it.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
I'd like to get some samples of that. I'm sure that's easy as anything. Yeah.
Did the Commodore 64 have Sam Fox Strip Poker?
Oh yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Plus computer games. Isn't there some sort of saying that, I'm sure it's not actually true, it sounds like a pub fact, but most technological advances are driven by porn.
They said that about the internet.
Yeah, the people who need to make money fastest online are the porn.
Yeah,
people.
I think maybe it might be more true that technological advances are often seized on by that industry a little bit more quickly. Yeah. I would say that the military probably drive shitload more advances. Yeah. It was I remember Sam Fox Strip Poker. Don't think did I ever play it?
I don't think I did. This is reminding me of a Daily Mash thing I saw the other day, which was something like 5 porn stars every man pretends he doesn't know. I don't think I played Sam Fox's Strip Poker either. No.
I think I had it. I do think I had it. Or is it?
I don't really know how anyone I knew would have it, if you see what I mean. Presumably the game itself, you had to be over 18 to buy. But then again, I guess who's policing that,
Yeah, and you didn't. I don't think you did. I don't think there wasn't really certification on games back then.
Right.
But here's the thing that I don't know whether this is going to reveal itself to be one of the advantages over the Spectrum. I don't know, but did you not have a roaring trade in copied games and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the way you loaded games on both was the same. You loaded them via cassette, right?
Yeah.
And so if you just had a tape to tape, a double deck tape machine, you would copy the game.
Yeah.
But I mean, but my memory of that was it didn't always work that well.
Didn't always work, no.
Yeah.
But I do remember having cassettes that had like 20 games copied onto them.
Yeah.
And
you'd have
I
the
think
counter
Sam Fox
number.
would have been on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the counter written on the inlay, so you can fast forward to the next game.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with Sam Fox Strip Poker, I'm sure I had it and loaded it up, but I didn't know how to play poker. Didn't have a clue.
That's true.
I was familiar with the workings of poker as I was with the workings of women. It certainly wasn't meant for me.
I will admit that the rainbow on the Commodore 64 is so small that I don't think I can actually render it on mine, whereas I presume on yours, you absolutely have to. Oh, yeah, here we go. I'm doing it with some pens.
Doing it.
Tiny little bit of rainbow in. I've got a blue gel pen. That's it. There we go. There we go. If you could, I mean, I think you can, can't you? I think you can buy, I think there is like a Commodore 64 little, I think you can buy one, a little retro thing. Can you buy one of the Spectrum as well? A little.
I'm not sure. I've over the years on Twitter, I've followed several accounts who tried to kickstart new versions of Spectrum, which was basically just a better case, a more sturdy case that would still play all the games. And unlike that Commodore, it would come with a lot of the old games loaded onto it already. I've played the odd one on like emulators and online. It's just not the same without a keyboard.
You want the complete experience. You want the Spectrum as it was.
Well, they were quite. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm used to playing. I still play computer games. I've got games consoles, and I'm used to holding controllers now. And to go from that to go back to playing a game on keyboard is quite difficult. It's really hard. It's not the best way to be playing games at all, unless it's a text game. But I did love my Spectrum.
I'm looking on an app store now. I'm looking on the app stores. Yeah. I mean, can we have our Christmas back? Can me and you have? I mean, it just seems like an obvious thing for someone to do, like a simple little.
There did used to be a Spectrum app for the iPad, but it was really hard to play on the iPad.
Yeah, it's. Right. Oh, it looks like you. Oh, C64 fan app. It looks like some games are there.
Yeah.
So there's not like an app that. Oh yeah. Okay. Right. There are Spectrum games and stuff. You can buy different games, but you can't. There's not something that just turns your iPad into a Commodore 64. C64 Sprite Creator. Sprites.
Their own games.
I will concede that looking over at your painting, there is. I think the Spectrum has the sort of slightly more iconic edge as something to paint.
Yeah.
I think yours sort of screams 1982 in a way that my painting doesn't quite as much.
Yeah. I mean, black's a very 80s sort of colour, isn't it? Black and red. It is a very unusual choice compared to every other computer that was being made back then. That was big. And I knew I was getting this one. I'd asked for it.
Is that what did it, though? Is that why? I mean, he was a short-lived success, wasn't he, Clive Sinclair?
Yeah. He sold the company. Did he sell it to Amstrad?
I think he sold it to Amstrad.
He did. Amstrad started producing the next version of Spectrums. They were terrible. They had a built-in tape deck on the like.
But is this again the
on one end?
This is again the Spectrum Plus, is it?
It's where are we? Spectrum 128. No, not 128. Sorry. Yeah, Spectrum Plus was Amstrad.
Right.
It was horrible.
But then he started to have quite a few follies, didn't he? He had that car thing.
The
What's that
C5,
called?
Sinclair C5. Yeah, that was his big thing.
It's interesting though, wasn't it? He was in the adverts for some of these things.
Yeah, it was.
He was a personality in the same way that Steve Jobs became a personality.
Yes, he was. And Bill Gates. Yeah, he was. There was BBC4 did a dramatisation, a very tongue-in-cheek version of the Clive Sinclair story. I think Alexander Armstrong played Clive Sinclair.
Right.
Wearing a bald wig. It was really funny. I don't know if it's on the BBC anymore. It was a good few years ago, kind of when BBC4 first started. Micromen, it was called, 2009.
Do you remember that? Yeah. I don't think I saw it, but I remember it existing.
It's on YouTube.
Okay.
I will put the link in. Martin Freeman was in it as well. The aforementioned Martin Freeman. Britain's most famous mod.
I was just about to say, was Martin Freeman in it? And who did Martin Freeman play?
Chris Curry.
And who did...
I'm just going to have
Is he the Electron?
Is
he the Acorn Electron?
He was from Acorn, and then he worked with Sinclair. In fact, he joined Sinclair in around the time that Spectrum was out, and that he was working with them already then.
Brilliant stuff.
Sinclair also had a tiny TV. That's tiny right. Portable telly.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Are you finished? Have you finished your picture?
Yes, I've finished. Yeah, I'm not.
Do you not feel like? Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Do you not feel like you want to put the colour on that rainbow?
No. No,
right,
on it.
All right then.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Darren.
Goodbye, Darren.
What do we call it? A sporting draw?
A sporting draw? Yeah, no, Spectrum's a clear winner.
All right, then, Spectrum's winner. I don't give a shit.
Bye, Darren.
Bye.